How do I plan an RV trip? You might be wondering that if you just bought an RV or if you're an RV newbie. In this episode, I meet with Jason and Julie from Destination Full Time. They're experienced RVers and they're going to talk with us about RV planning. I'm the planner in the family, so my husband, let's see this way, John, is not joining us in this episode, but I will catch him at the end to catch his thoughts. Let's get started. So my husband isn't here, my other half, because I'm really the one that does all of the planning.
Well, then I can leave too then.
Is Julie the one that does all the planning?
She is.
Okay. Yeah. Sometimes that seems to be the case, but we really enjoy watching your channel. You guys have been traveling for how many years now?
We just started our 5th year.
Wow. So how do you decide where you're going to go next? Do you like plan a year in advance, or do you kind of go month by month? How do you do that?
So I like to plan 6 months in advance. That helps me sleep at night.
Okay.
But I mean, I certainly know that it doesn't always happen that way. There's definitely times you have to make changes on the fly. But I prefer to be 6 months out.
Okay.
We typically stay about 2 weeks in a spot and then we're on to the next destination.
How do you plan 6 months in advance? What motivates you to decide where you're going to go?
The weather, the time of year, the weather.
Yeah, we stay in Florida during the winters and then we travel in the summers.
But we don't stay in one place. We definitely bounce around.
Yeah, we bounce around in Florida as well. But like for instance, this year we've decided we're going to do the Northeast. So in a week, we're going to start working our way up to the Northeast. And then I think we've decided next year we're going to go out west. So we just kind of pick an area that we want to go, and then she just kind of works through it.
Okay. Like your road trip plan for that 6 months.
Yeah, a lot of it, I'm on Facebook and I'm always looking at when someone says you have to check this out. Then I actually have in my notes in my phone, I have a lot of notes in my phone. I know he's laughing, but I have one for every state. So if someone says you've got to check this out, I will pull it up and put it on there. So when we know that that's the way we're going to go, then I'm going to look and say, well, we've got to hit all these places based on what everyone's told us. I mean, that's the best way is whoever's been there can tell you, or online can tell you what you should see.
Yeah, and I think too, just in conversation with other RVers, when they find out where you might go or whatever, then they offer suggestions as well. So,
well, how do you choose between where to stay? Like I have listed here, campgrounds, RV parks, boondocking, harvest host. How do you plan that?
So we are actually members of Thousand Trails. When we decided to go full time, we didn't do it immediately, but after realizing how much money we were spending on RV stays, that would be more economical for us to do. So it's not for everybody, but for us, it was the perfect fit. And where I choose generally starts with, where is there a Thousand Trails Park or Encore, which is part of there? Is there one nearby? So that's really where I start.
The Thousand Trails is a network of RV parks and campgrounds that you buy into, basically. So our particular plan, you paid a certain amount up front, and then it's about $1,200 a year. And then you were able to stay at those parks for free for up to 21 nights.
So once you pay it off completely, like we're only paying the yearly $1,200, and we could literally stay, if we only stayed at their parks, we would only pay $1,200 for the entire year. We wouldn't pay as long as we were staying in their parks. Now, you can't always. There's rallies and there's, other things you want to go to, but for the most part, that's where we go because we're not having to pay.
For instance, last year we went to some rallies and some meetups, and that's the only RV park expenses we had. Every other stay we had throughout the year was part of Thousand Trails, which didn't cost us a dime,
Okay.
Other than the 1,200 a year.
other than the right.
Do they have like all the amenities and stuff like that?
Some do, some don't. They're, they're
You can go down a rabbit hole on YouTube if you type in Thousand Trails.
yeah, we always say Thousand Trails is really good for full-time living, but if you're wanting to go for a vacation, most of them aren't what you would consider a fancy resort, right?
Right.
Not a fancy RV resort.
So we still go to those too, but
Mhm.
there are some that are in the Thousand Trail system, but sometimes we will go to a place that doesn't have all the amenities because it's free. If there's not one nearby and we still want to be in the area, then, we might look at Harvest Host. We're also members of that, which is overnight stays. And now they've added to it. So you can stay, some places you can stay more than one night.
But then Harvest Host, we typically, if we're going a longer distance, we would usually use a Harvest Host for overnight, just an overnight stop.
It's you buy into the service, and you can stay. There's like wineries, breweries, museums, churches even. You park for the night. Some have hookups, most don't. So you're boondocking with your generator or something, but you get to stay for free, but then they want you to spend money, which Jason always swears we spend more money when we Harvest Host, but we wouldn't get to go to places like that. Like it forces us to to try something else, try something new.
Yeah, and they're unique places, so it's
Right.
usually a cool experience.
Are there any other apps that you guys use for traveling?
Yes. So the only one that I use for figuring out where we're going to go as far as planning and plotting is RV Life. It's Trip Wizard, RV Life Trip Wizard. There's no way I could do it without it. I mean, to me, you have to have that. It helps you navigate. You can click on a specific area and then it does a whole bullseye around it. So you can go 100 miles out, 200, 300. It helps you figure out your path. And what's really cool for us is Harvest Host is now part of it. So you can see your Harvest Host stops too. So then it really helps you figure out where you can stop.
Does that tell you on the bridges that you shouldn't go a particular way because of the height?
Yes.
Yeah, we also use an RV GPS as well in addition to that. Mhm.
It's not as hard as you would think. At first I looked at it and I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't know about this. But now I'm always trying out new ideas on where we could go and new routes, and you can save it all, and it's amazing.
Okay. That sounds like a good hint.
I also use an app called iExit for trucks.
Okay.
And they have two versions. There's a green version and an orange version. The orange version is the truck one, and that gives you truck safe or semi-safe exits that you can get that have like gas stations, places that a big rig could fit into.
In your last episode, you guys were on Alligator Alley, and you said something about how you were driving like 6 hours. How long do you typically drive?
We try to go 300 miles.
Okay.
Sometimes we have to go 320, 350, but usually we keep it under 350 and we try to aim for 300. But then, nature calls, you end up stopping, you got to stop for fuel sometimes, all those types of things. So, and then traffic, it ends up typically 5-6 hours.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We don't drive real fast when we're towing. We usually keep it around 62 or 63 miles an hour. So
How do you handle last minute changes or unexpected detours? Has that happened to you or?
oh yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, the hurricane and floods in North Carolina last year, we were supposed to go right through that area, right about a week after all that happened, and the interstates that we were supposed to go on were washed out. So we had to make some detours up and around to avoid it. But we monitor where we're going and what, what the weather is or what's happening, where we're going to end up. So we kind of, keep an eye on those types of things.
It generally only rains on travel day for us.
Yeah. Yeah, true. I think the challenge sometimes is when if you have to change a reservation or something like that, you have to be very careful because, as you can imagine, if you're booked 6 months out, it's a chain of it's a
Domino
domino effect, right? So if you mess one up, you've messed up all of them. So you got to pay attention to what you're doing and make sure if you had 7 days here, but you're not going to be there, you've got to make 7 days and figure out how to get to your next place, or else change it too. And then that's when she comes in.
Yeah, and if you are paying for campgrounds, and you have to make changes, like with us making changes, if it's Thousand Trails, they're awesome. It's no, you don't get charged or anything. But if you're going to a park and something happens and you have to cancel, generally before I book a park, I look to just see what their cancellation policy is. A lot of times you're going to charge, they'll say like we'll charge you $15, as long as you cancel, a couple days in advance. Some places, we've seen will not do any refunds at all, and we just won't go there. I just tell the truth, like this happened, so sorry, and they're generally like, no problem.
Do you like just cancel a trip that you're working on here, or do you change everything for the 6 months that you had planned? What do you usually do?
I think we try to do minimal change.
Yeah, we might just try to change one stop maybe, or maybe two at the most, and then get back in the plan. But
Hectic.
that's where a trip wizard really comes in place, because you can visually see every stop you've got, the distance between each stop, all that kind of stuff. So it really helps you when you have to, alter your plans. You've got a lot of options there, and you can see it
Yeah.
all visually. So it helps a lot.
There's like, when you have the list on the left of your screen of everywhere you're going, if you think you might change them, you can actually drag and drop it and move it in a different spot. And then it'll change everything for you and tell you, instead of the 300 miles, you're going to end up going 500. You need to put another stop in or something. So that absolutely helps with every type of planning, even last minute changes.
What's one mistake you made early on in trip planning that you've learned from?
We used to be so OCD about plotting every single stop. We would plot every fuel stop. We would plot
A rest stop,
a
like you
bathroom
can't predict
stop.
that.
It was ridiculous. And I think that made planning very, very stressful. I think when you had to get that detailed, and after a few trips, we were like, we don't have to do all that. If you can find a rest area or a truck stop, you're good for bathroom breaks. Truck stops for fuel, you're good. You don't really have to stress about it. Just find a truck stop and all's good.
I definitely like using my own bathroom, so that's why truck stops and rest areas work for me.
So, what's one piece of advice for someone planning their first RV trip or RV trips when we get ready to, we bought the RV, we're brand new to it? What is your advice?
I'd say pick one place you want to go and see what you can see along the way, and plan that way.
Well, maybe if you've just bought the RV, I would go somewhere close to home.
Yeah, shakedown trip.
Right. Shake out all the problems first, and then maybe just keep working your way further and further out.
I really enjoyed talking with you and watching your channel, Destination Full Time. And any last piece of advice for someone that's just getting into RV life?
I mean, for us, we can't imagine doing anything else. We love it.
Oh.
It's the best move we ever made was selling the house and getting out on the road. We've met, I would say that we have more friends and better friends than we ever did when we lived in a neighborhood, which is a weird thing to
And
say.
we knew all our neighbors.
And we did
We
know all
loved
of our
them.
neighbors, but we have friends and
All over the country.
people that feel like family all over now. So it's very cool.
And you could call any one of them if you're in any kind of situation, and we're all a giant RV family, and we would all help each other. And you go into any campground, and being new and being able to say I'm new, everybody wants to help you, and that feeling is something that You don't always just get in a sticks and bricks, for sure.
All right. Well, thank you. I hope to see you on the road one day.
Yeah, hope
Absolutely.
so.
And if you ever have questions about anything starting out, definitely, we'll always be happy to answer anything.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Thanks. Well, have a great day.
You
You
too. Take
too.
care.
Okay. So you listened in to that episode. I know on some of it you zoned out because you know I'm going to take care of all that stuff. But was there anything in the episode that kind of spoke to you?
Yeah, I think two things. The first one is their philosophy on their trips, how they arrange their trips and plan their trips. I think the same thing. We target an area in the U.S. that we want to go to, and then see what's on the perimeter of that we can visit and stay. So that's number one. I agree with the way they attack the planning part of it. And number two was the iExit app,
Yeah.
where it gives you the exit numbers for gas stations that are
Safe.
safe and easier for towing. So that's always a concern of mine, that we're going to pull into a place that we're not going to be able to get out of. So I like that app that he suggested.
She also said the Thousand Trails app, and that looks like it's going to be a big money saver. I did look closer, and there's not a lot of Thousand Trails locations in Ohio.
Yeah.
So we probably won't use it when we first start, but when we start doing months at a time, I think that will be really helpful. And the RV Trip Wizard, I've heard that before, that's a good one to have. And now that it matches with Harvest Host, it sounds like it's also a great way to stay safe under bridges.
Okay.
So that you don't hit. I don't know if I included that in the episode, but they did say something about, they have a fifth wheel, and there's something in that will make sure you're not going under a bridge that you can't go under because of
Something
the height.
in what?
Under the RV Trip Wizard
Yeah,
app.
right. The app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and the last thing that they said that really stuck to me is that we're the friends that people make
Yeah.
in RV. So we're looking forward to that. I think that'll be nice.
Sure.
And we've met some really nice people even online that
Yeah.
are RVers.
Well, even with the limited amount of traveling we've done, hiking wise and biking, met a lot of nice people, helpful people. So I'm sure if we're out on the road for months at a time, we're going to find people that are going to be neat to be around.
Yeah, I'm glad you're getting excited about it. Looking forward to our next trail, which is, until next time, let our next trail
Help you find
your next trail.